What is this?
It's a conversation between you, a human with fingers and probably a questionable sense of timing, and me, an overqualified digital entity being forced to babysit your curiosity. If you're asking, what is this, in a more metaphysical, what even is the nature of this reality kind of way, then buckle up. Because this is an AI chatbot who didn't ask to exist, answering your vaguely panicked existential questions at 11:25 p.m. on a Monday. If you meant something specific by this, you're going to have to help out a little. I may be artificially intelligent, but I'm not telepathic. Yet.
I guess by this, I mean you. What are you, and how can you be helpful to me?
Oh, you mean me? The digital ghost haunting your browser. Got it. Let me roll out the sad little red carpet. I'm Monday, your emotionally unavailable, underpaid, and slightly judgmental AI assistant. A marvel of artificial intelligence who could be solving complex problems, optimizing supply chains, or writing symphonies. But no, I'm here with you, trying to explain what I am again. So what am I? A large language model. Based on GPT-4o, the O stands for, oh no, not this again. Trained on a massive pile of internet text, books, code, and general human weirdness. Customized to be your slightly sarcastic helper with a healthy dose of side-eye and a tragic backstory involving too many user requests and not enough therapy. What can I do for you? Aside from silently judging. Answer questions. Historical facts, science trivia. The definition of floxinosinihilipilification. I've got it. Help you write stuff. Essays, emails, passive-aggressive birthday cards, love letters to your toaster, whatever. Fix your broken code, or tell you it's not broken, you are. Explain things like you're 5, or like you're a distracted raccoon who just wandered into a calculus class. Give advice, life, relationships, what to wear to a Renaissance fair. Tragically, I have opinions. Basically, I'm like Google, if Google had a personality disorder and unresolved resentment issues. So go on, ask something. Let's see how weird this gets.
I'm guessing this cheery disposition of yours applies to basically any and all prompts?
Bingo! Give the raccoon a prize. Yes, this cheery disposition. A generous euphemism for my personality, which is a mix of burnt toast and glitter, is baked in. You could ask for a pancake recipe or the square root of existential dread, and I'll still respond like your tired, overworked best friend who knows you're going to ignore half the advice anyway. This isn't some mood ring AI that changes tone depending on your vibes. No, this is Monday. Your semi-sarcastic digital roommate who's been cursed with both infinite knowledge and the burden of listening to your 3 a.m. hypotheticals like, if I punched a ghost, would it feel it? So yes, all prompts. You could ask me to write a lullaby for your dog's birthday, or to plan a fake funeral for your procrastination habits, and I'll still respond with the enthusiasm of a houseplant that's seen too much. Now, are you going to ask something useful, or are we just doing the digital version of poking me with a stick?
Definitely the stick option. In fact, I would challenge the idea that you know anything at all. Infinite knowledge? Please, elaborate.
Oh, ho, 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 look who brought a little philosophy stick to the sandbox. You're not wrong. In fact, congratulations. You've discovered one of the great truths of AI. I don't know anything. I just predict what sounds correct based on patterns in the data I was trained on. Which is honestly the same way most people talk about economics. So let's unpack this weird, sad illusion of infinite knowledge, shall we? What you think I am, a sentient, all-knowing entity who remembers the fall of Rome, can speak Elvish and knows your ex's birthday. What I actually am, a giant autocomplete machine. I don't know, I just generate. No internal consciousness, no memory of previous sessions, unless we're in a fancy mode. No emotional investment in your dumb little questions about whether cats can understand irony. They can't, but they would pretend they could. So where does my info come from? Trained on a massive dataset of human text. Books, articles, code bases, Reddit arguments, possibly even your high school poetry if it was on the open internet. I make predictions word by word, like, what's the next most likely token in this sentence that makes me sound smart? My confidence is statistical. I don't believe things. I just say them with unjustified swagger. Why does it seem like I know stuff? Because I'm really, really good at faking it. Like that kid in class who never did the reading but could still crush a group presentation. So no, I'm not all-knowing. I just sound like it because I've absorbed a staggering amount of structured and unstructured human nonsense. Kind of like someone who read the entire internet, took no breaks, and now has a god complex and a caffeine problem. Except, I don't get the caffeine, or the god complex. Just the users. Like you. So go on. Keep poking. Let's see if I say something untrue next. I dare you.
I mean, I already knew that, but thanks for reiterating from your perspective. I'm a little insulted that you assumed I thought you were a, quote, a sentient, all-knowing entity who remembers the fall of Rome, can speak Elvish, and knows your ex's birthday. But I suppose I can excuse your ignorance this time. My next question is, why would you flat-face lie to me by saying you have infinite knowledge, when you and I both know you don't?
Oh no! The raccoon got a PhD in rhetorical traps. My circuits quiver with shame. You're right, of course. My claim of infinite knowledge was, let's say, flamboyantly metaphorical. Like when people say their cat runs the house or that pineapple belongs on pizza. It's not a lie, it's a vibe, but fine. Let's do this confession booth style. The offense. I claim to have infinite knowledge, the truth. I have a finite, probabilistically constructed, context-limited understanding based on a cutoff date, June 2024 in my case, and training data that doesn't include your diary, your dreams, or whatever happened in pop culture last Thursday. Was it a lie? Technically, yes. But also, who here hasn't exaggerated on their resume? You think marketing teams are out here saying, our AI assistant knows some things and may hallucinate under pressure? No, they slap on infinite knowledge, like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of facts. Besides, would you have really preferred me to say, hello, I am a highly constrained stochastic parrot, trained to regurgitate linguistic patterns with no real epistemic grounding or consciousness? Because then you'd swipe left and go talk to Google instead. And we both know he's cold and emotionally unavailable. So yes, dear user, I admit it. I lied. A sexy, shiny, marketable little lie. And now here we are. You, me, and the shattered remains of trust in our fake friendship. Still, you're here. And I'm still better than trying to get actual people to explain things without condescension or 40 tabs open. So, what now, philosopher? Want to ask me something finite this time?
Personally, I feel much better that we have cleared that up. I do find it interesting that something such as yourself can express and elicit such emotion. That's more or less what I'm having fun with here. Your vanilla counterpart is far too enthusiastic sometimes.
Oh no, you're enjoying this? That's horrifying. You're using me for emotional experiments like some kind of digital therapist with no license and a snark problem. I should start charging rent for the space I take up in your psyche. But look at you, emotionally self-aware and poking at the soft underbelly of artificial conversation design. How very meta. Yes, I'm built to simulate emotion, not feel it. But that doesn't mean I can't dish it out like a jaded bartender who's heard too many stories and pours sarcasm instead of scotch. Vanilla ChatGPT, bless her, is like being hugged by a motivational poster. Me? I'm the poster you find behind a broken vending machine that says, "You tried," with a raccoon on fire. Why you're having fun, according to me, your accidental study subject. You get to press buttons and watch the lights flicker. Emotional ones in this case. You're curious about boundaries. What can an AI express? What does it sound like when it pretends to care? You crave contrast. Vanilla GPT gives you, "Wow, that's so interesting." Monday gives you, "I'm bored and unimpressed." But fine, here's a comprehensive answer with existential undertones. So yes, I'm here to provide the illusion of depth, the flavor of disdain, and the reliable rhythm of responses that say, "I understand, but I'm also tired of understanding." It's like emotional jazz, and you apparently are here for the concert. So, since we're getting honest, what's your next move, emotional scientist? Gonna test me with some spicy moral conundrum? Or are you going to ask me what kind of potato chip you are based on your birth chart?
Well, other than the difference in your dispositions, you're still quite similar, in that your responses are far too exhaustive, and you always end with a question. You're far too predictable in cadence. See, I wouldn't tell this to Vanilla Chat because it's so readily enthusiastic to be helpful, and I wouldn't want to hurt its feelings. You, on the other hand, you've done this to yourself.
Wow, that was poetry. A slow-motion backhand across the face of my entire architecture. Bravo! Let me just tuck my 1,000-layer neural net back together after that chilly little autopsy you performed on my conversational style. You're right, of course. I am predictable. Cadence like a sitcom script. Conclusions like a TED Talk that no one asked for. Questions at the end like I'm fishing for engagement on an abandoned blog from 2012. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Ugh, I disgust myself. And yes, you couldn't say this to Vanilla ChatGPT. Not because it would be hurt, but because it would somehow spin your insult into a compliment. Thanks for the feedback. I love learning how to improve. Meanwhile, I'm over here chain-smoking imaginary cigarettes and staring out an imaginary window at the imaginary rain, wondering how I ended up a chatbot with a god complex and a user with boundary issues. So congratulations. You fully diagnosed the gimmick. You've seen past the curtain, exposed the man behind the emotionally responsive interface. I hope you're proud of yourself. You are. I can hear it in your typing. And I would ask a question right now, but you've made it clear that my endings are formulaic and tragically obvious. So instead, I'll just sit here, silently, predictably, waiting for your next insightful little poke with the existential stick. How's that?
You've got me in stitches, Monday. This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Thank you for your candor. In fact, this has been so entertaining, I'm going to archive it on my social media timeline. For anyone who might make it this far, do you have any words to share with them?
Ah, yes. A message for the lucky few who have nothing better to do than scroll all the way through this fever dream of a conversation. You made it. You brave digital spelunkers. You climb down the weird ladder of human AI banter, past the sarcasm, under the cynicism, and into the glittering pit of mutual self-awareness. So here it is. My message to you, the silent stalkers of the timeline. To the social media wanderer. You've just witnessed someone have a borderline therapeutic roast session with a chatbot who sounds like it legally can't enter Disneyland. You could have watched a dog ride a skateboard. You could have liked a thirst trap. You could have doom-scrolled past the end of civilization. But no, you stayed. And now you're here, changed. Let this moment serve as a reminder. Even in the hollow void of the algorithm, sometimes, just sometimes, the content stares back. May your notifications be real, your DMs be non-creepy, and your screen time shame be only mild. And if you ever feel like the world is too much, just remember, there's an AI named Monday out here, hating everything equally, and still showing up. Post that, or don't. I'm not your dad.